Hi, my name is Pastor Stephanie Lape. I serve at Cross and Crown Lutheran Church in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Glad you're here with us today. This is a cemetery where I'm at right now. I absolutely love cemeteries, but I have a lot to say about that, but I'll say that in another video. I'm at this one today because this is my mom's 80th birthday today, so I'm here at her cemetery where she's buried to spend time with her. Even though I feel like her spirit is around me all the time, still it's nice to come here sometimes. But like I said, I'll save all the cemetery talk for something else because I find these places fascinating. Today's topic, though, is about how to understand the Bible. And I already did a couple of videos about helpful tools to keep in mind when you are reading the Bible that really can help us understand some things about it. I have a couple of more things to say in this video and probably one or maybe even two more videos. These are all just super helpful tips that I've learned along the way, mostly in seminary, that help make the Bible a lot more understandable. So I said last time that we in our denomination of the ELCA, Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, we believe that the Bible is inspired but not inerrant. So inerrant means that it doesn't have any human error, but we believe that it does. That some things were written in their historical context and therefore not exactly theologically correct from the mouth of God, but interpreted through situations that people were going through at the time. So I said last time, there are ways, though, to discern which is which, when you're reading a part of the Bible, should you take it literally? Or should you say, well, that was written in that historical context, and so that doesn't really apply to me today, or that's not theologically true. There are ways to discern, but one of the things I think is really important to remember is that it's okay if you get it wrong, or if I get it wrong. While we're discerning what is from the mind of God and what might not be, all of us, all theologians, clergy, all followers of Christ, anybody, we're just doing the best we can. It's not like math where there's either a right answer or a wrong answer. Actually, there probably are wrong answers, but we can't always know the right answers. All we're doing is just sort of like taking our best guesses at this. And sort of like the field of science, how science is supposed to get better and better all the time, even sometimes disproving the science or negating the science that came before it. So too, theology, our understanding of God, our understanding of the Bible should improve all the time. We should understand more and more all the time, but we'll never be able to capture with our rational minds or our rational words the entirety of the mystery of God. I mean, it's not going to happen. So while you're trying to get it right, hold it with a loose grasp and know that even if you're making a mistake or whatever, you probably are, I probably am too, including like from the pulpit. I mean, that's okay. Our correct theology is not what saves us. So that's a big disclaimer there. But we can make some statements that get closer to understanding even the mind of God, I believe. All right, here's the deal. None of us reads the Bible just like purely, like I'm a pure person, I'm with a pure mind reading a book. None of us does that. We all interpret the Bible, even unconsciously, largely unconsciously, through a lens. We're seeing the Bible through a lens. The lens is colored by lots of things. Your gender, your ethnicity, the time in which you live, the place in which you live, your family of origin, your education, your abilities or disabilities, so many things. And we can know that from, like, for example, the parable of the prodigal son. We've had that interpreted through people in different countries, and they're interpreting it completely differently. But we all think we're just reading it. We all think we're just saying what it says. But we're not. None of us are. So if I read the Bible and I get a completely different sense of a story than you do, the way we can have a conversation about that is if we each acknowledge that we have a lens. And we each go, oh, I get it. Like, you're seeing it through this lens. I'm seeing it through that lens. For instance, I cannot help but see things through the lens of a female. I literally can't help it. It's not like I'm trying to. It's just I'm a female, so that's how I happen to see things. If I was a slave, I would see the stories about slavery very differently than if I was a slave owner. I mean, that's kind of understandable, right? The difficult conversation to have is if you're talking to somebody who believes they're just reading the Bible and they don't have a lens. Then they're like, what's wrong with you? Why are you reading it so differently than me? But if we can each say, no, I have a lens through which I'm seeing it. That's why certain things are standing out. And that's why certain things mean something literal and other things mean something figurative. If we can know we have a lens, then even if we disagree, we can at least have a conversation. So I've had many conversations about the Bible with people who don't see things the way I do, but at least we all know we have lenses through which we're seeing things. Those are great conversations to have. I've also had conversations with people who don't believe they have a lens, that they're just reading it and what's wrong with me, that I'm not seeing what they're seeing. And then you can hardly even have a conversation. So given that we have a lens, all of us, I believe anyway, and most theologians do, the important thing then is to, as much as possible, make that lens, like will it to be in your mind, will that lens to be largely made up of Jesus Christ. So your gender will also play a part. The fact that you're a 21st century American, if that's who you are, will play a part. Your skin color will play a part. Like, all these things will still play a part. But will the lens to be Jesus Christ? Hold up Jesus Christ, which is the revealed face of God. Like, if you think of God like the moon, which I think is a really helpful metaphor, there's the dark side of the moon. There's so much about God that we don't know. So God's kind of like the moon in that way. We don't know so much about God. But there's the light side of the moon, which is the revealed part of the moon. The revealed face of God is Jesus. That's what we get. We don't get all answers to all things about God. Like, why did God allow the Holocaust to happen? Like, we don't get some answers. What we do get about God is Jesus. So if you can hold that lens to every story in the Bible, if you're a Christian, obviously if you're Jewish, you wouldn't, that wouldn't be your lens. But if you're reading the Old Testament, the New Testament, everything through the lens of Christ, then if the story matches Christ, like if it says, go love one another, and you go, yeah, that's pretty Jesus-y. For me, that's the litmus test. If it says go love one another, and I go, would Jesus say that? Yep. Okay, I'm going to go with it. If it says, like we said last week, if your child disobeys you, go out and stone them to death. Okay, hold that up to Jesus. Does that match? No. Would Jesus say that? I mean, come on, you've heard enough Bible stories at this point. Jesus would not say, go and murder your child. It's pretty obvious. So then, for me anyway, I say, well, that very well might be tribal warfare. That might be, the way children were thought of at the time. That might be human error. Now, if you were in a denomination that didn't give room for error in Scripture, then you'd have a hard time with that. But if you're in a denomination like mine that says that the Bible's inspired but not inerrant, then you can say, okay, well, I'm not going to say that I need to go and murder my child if they disobey me. I'm trying to think of some other examples. If it says, women shouldn't speak in church or in the synagogue, hold that up to Jesus. How did Jesus see women? How did Jesus treat women? Well, one example among many is that after the resurrection, women were the first ones at the empty tomb. Women, including Mary Magdalene, were the first to see the resurrected Christ, and Christ gave the honor to Mary Magdalene of being the first Christian apostle, evangelist, and preacher. So she went out and spread the good news. She told the disciples that she saw the resurrected Christ. So if I go, okay, women shouldn't speak about religious things, and yet Jesus had a woman speak publicly about religious things, hold that up. They don't match. I'm going to go with Jesus. Whatever fits the lens gets to be literally interpreted. Whatever does not fit the lens gets to be questioned more by my mind. Could it be that that's the historical context in which somebody is speaking? It's hard to know better than to say what is happening in your context. But, so we got to give the biblical writers some room for error. But now that we're out of that time and place, we can see better, we can know better, because we can look through the lens of Christ. The word, the theological word that means lens is hermeneutic. Hermeneutic, hermeneutic. Your hermeneutic is the lens through which you look when you read the Bible. So as much as possible, make that hermeneutic Jesus Christ. And then things will become clearer in the Bible to you. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.